And welcome back. Hey, our next guest is a tax strategist and the founder of Melanin Tax Solutions. She joins us to highlight the work that she is doing to save people money, and that's always so very, very important. She's going to save people money this tax season and beyond. You can use all year. She can be your bookkeeper and all that stuff. So please welcome to the show, Lorraine Millington. Lorraine, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be here.
Did I add a new service, or you do that? You do the bookkeeping part too?
Yes, it's an all-encompassing, all-service firm that I have. But yes, that's one important aspect that I will probably get into as we're speaking, is how important bookkeeping, tax preparation, and everything is to the overall picture.
Yeah, because if they come at you, you got to have all that stuff prepared, and a bookkeeper will have all that in line for you. I'll just see my bookkeeper. I'm sure we're straight. We're good.
I hope so, but if you need any help, I'm here to help you, just in case.
So give us a little background on you and how you got this all started, because you're no stranger to the show either. You were here before.
Right, yes. I know I was in the studio last year, so I'm really excited to be back talking with you actually in the beginning of tax season this time. I think last time I was a little bit towards the end. And so how I got into this is because it's always surprising to me how much people aren't aware of when it comes to not only just their taxes, but their finances in general. And so a lot
Yeah.
of the reason why I started the business is to help people understand what options they have available, but
Yeah.
also so we can start shifting how we're approaching not even just tax season, but how we're dealing with our money.
Yeah. So when you start thinking about tax planning,
hmm
what are some of the first things that you should, in your mind, begin to think about putting together?
Sure. And it goes back to what we were just talking about with bookkeeping, right? A lot of times people want strategy or you want to do tax planning, but you have to know what your numbers are. You kind of have to know where you are and where you're starting from so that we can actually put a plan in place to either improve or enhance what you're already doing. So a lot of tax planning starts with the organization of your books and your numbers so that we can go from
Mm.
there.
And that's what businesses should be actually doing. They need to be doing that right now throughout the year to stay financially healthy.
Yes. And I would even say, in addition to that, I think oftentimes people think that the tax planning and the preparation happen at the same time. So the planning isn't help me find, more credits or help me
Yeah.
not owe so much when I file the tax return. The
Mm.
planning has to start before then so that you're already anticipating what's going to happen and then you're putting strategies in place to mitigate those particular things.
And the same thing stands for your personal as well as business taxes?
Absolutely. So you'll oftentimes feel that people have a separate business, right? So whether, I don't know, it's a construction business or even just if you're selling products, like whatever that separate business is, sometimes your business is standing by itself. But if you're an individual who's also savvy and is buying real estate or is self-employed, that all comes on your personal tax return. So there's also a level of strategy and organization
Yeah.
that happens on that side also.
Lorraine, what are some of the things that we should be concerned about or think about this tax season? Are there any tax changes that we should be aware of?
There are. So last year, actually on July 4th of
Uh-huh.
2025, there was a big overhaul of the tax system or the tax code. There was a new tax
Mm.
bill that was signed into place.
Yeah.
And so this new tax bill is going to have a lot of effects on people this tax filing season, especially for seniors. Seniors are going to essentially have an extra deduction that is going to be applicable to them just for filing the tax return. So if you're 65 years of age or older, you're going to have an additional $6,000 credit that's applied to your tax return. We also have extensions where people are going to now be able to deduct, like if you're someone who works maybe in the hospitality industry or even nurses, people who make money off of overtime and tips. There is also a new provision in the tax code that allows you to deduct some of that on your tax returns. You're going to be paying less in taxes because either if you're making overtime or if you're making tips, you won't have to pay taxes on a good portion of
Yeah.
that income. So there's a lot of different things that have been
Yeah.
included within this new tax bill that are going to help people.
Well, let me ask you another question. Some people have personal businesses and some people have personal taxes. So you got your personal taxes and you got a business too. A lot of people like to run their funds through the business because
Yep.
the personal taxes, they tax the heck out of you.
Yes. So we're kind of talking about a fine line when we're starting to mix personal funds or personal expenses with business expenses.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that those lines are clearly defined. You, as an individual, if you have your own business, there are certain expenses that are legitimately also business expenses so
Yeah.
that you can help to deduct those. But we don't want to blur the lines too much and have things that are clearly personal now being deducted on the business side and kind of vice versa. So and that's where strategy comes in. That's where having someone who's able to explain these things and for it to make sense, right? So people understand what they should and even shouldn't be doing as it relates to that.
Yeah, because, well, for myself, I know my personal taxes, I'm like they hit me like
Getting
with the 1, 2, 3 punch. Bam, bam, bam. I'm like,
But you
hey.
haven't knocked out yet. You're not knocked out. So we're going to
Yeah, I'm
keep you
still
standing.
standing. I'm still
We're going to
standing,
keep
but
you standing. But this is why it's important. And again, and I guess maybe I've been emphasizing that like, this is where planning comes in.
yeah,
Because if you have a business and you're paying taxes personally, there are some advantages to be able to leverage in that regard because
yeah,
some of the things that you're doing personally can be applicable on the business side. For example, a home office, right? I'm in a home office right now. Being able to utilize the expenses that come along with that can now be deducted on the business side. So you're
yeah.
kind of saving yourself some money in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, people complain that, everywhere I go, I'm paying taxes. And then I pay taxes again when it's time to pay taxes.
So this
It's
is
like,
this is why we want to leverage, like why, and that is a very real concern, right? And a
yeah,
very real emotion that people have. It's like every time I step outside, I'm paying taxes. Even if you don't step outside, you're paying
well,
taxes, right? Whether you're paying for utilities, cable, electricity, whatever it
yeah.
is. So this is why we want to make sure, depending on what you're already doing, how can we best leverage that? How can we best capture what it is that you're doing so at least you get some of that back or even a little bit of relief in what you're already
Yeah.
doing?
All right, for business owners who feel overwhelmed or unsure where to start, what's one strategic move they can make today to put their business in a stronger financial position?
Talk to someone like me, I would say.
There you go.
I'm just the first step is to start to have the
Uh-huh.
conversation. So oftentimes, especially with business owners, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, right? And so you need to have the conversation, start asking the questions. And if the person that you're speaking to, that you're asking the questions to, if they don't know the answer, now let's move on to the next one. Because
Mhm.
the first step is taking the step and taking the initiative. And at least now that you have the awareness that there is another level, right? Like I don't have to just be stressed between January and April and wondering what I'm going to be doing. There are steps, there are strategies that you can put into place. And now is the perfect time to start doing that. We're in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Now is the perfect time to start planning for the rest.
And for people who have 401ks or CDs, where they can save extra money, do you recommend that they take a chunk if they can and add it to the
Added
CD,
to
the CD or
so this is also a strategic move, right? Like if you're working a W-2 and you're contributing to your 401k, that can be a way to lower your taxes if most of your money is coming from an employer or a W-2. But maybe you want to open something called a self-directed IRA, which allows
IRA?
you to be able to invest in other assets, whether that's real estate, whether that's stocks. So you want to be able to diversify while also having it apply to your overall tax or financial situation.
Yeah,
And this is why we have the conversation, because everyone has different financial goals, but it's not a one size fits all most of the time when it comes to certain things.
absolutely. What's the difference between a regular IRA and a Roth IRA?
So a traditional IRA, and it also depends on income limits, right? But a traditional IRA allows you to deduct it as an expense, if you will, or create a deduction on your tax return. So you're essentially not paying the taxes on it now, but then when you get retirement age and you take the money out, that's when you pay the taxes for a traditional
Mhm.
IRA. For a Roth IRA, which is typically what I would recommend for most people to do, depending on your situation. With a Roth IRA, you're not deducting it on your tax return right now, but then you also do not pay taxes on it later. So essentially, you're paying the taxes on it now so that you can have a tax-free retirement later on. So it really just depends on the person's situation and what makes sense. But those are essentially the differences between the two.
Do you also offer tips on wealth building,
Absolutely.
generational wealth, and all that? Yeah.
Absolutely, because that's the foundation, right? Like we want to be able to save money on taxes. Then what do you do with those savings, right? Like what are you putting it into to be able to build that generational wealth? Are you putting it into assets that then appreciate and make you more money? Because
Mm.
ultimately the goal is to have your money make the money, right? Like we want to shift from maybe having to do this time for money exchange and actually have money working for you. And so that's where the wealth building and the consulting as it relates to that comes in. We save you the money on the tax side. Now we take those savings and put it into something that's going to make you money long term.
Yeah. Do you recommend that everybody start a savings account? Because not everybody has one, but what about the 10% thing?
See, and this is where I kind of mentioned it's not a one size fits all, because these are hard times that we're in,
Yeah.
right? And so everyone's doing what they need to do to either get by or continue on what they're doing. So even if it's a little bit, I wouldn't say 10%. I mean, I guess that kind of applies to charitable contributions, right? Like if you have giving 10% of your salary to a charity, which is great if you have the opportunity to do that. But even if savings can start with maybe paying down debt, right? You don't necessarily have to put it into a savings account, but if you are strategically paying down your debt, that is saving you money to
Especially the
be able
high
to
interest credit
then
cards. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. So savings can look different for everyone depending on their situation.
But pay yourself first. Act like a bill.
Absolutely.
Act like a bill.
I would even treat it like a reward, right? Like once you do something, like let's say you pay off a credit card, hey, then treat yourself to something nice. Buy yourself something. Go get the latte from Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or whichever it is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's important to work towards goals, but then also reward yourself, because then that becomes now a habit, right? Of
Yeah.
okay, I did something good. Now let me treat myself.
Oh, I would recommend you because you're a wealth of information.
I see what you did there. I
So,
love it.
so come and get rich. Come and get rich.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Thank you. And you got to come back before tax season. I mean, people are preparing for it now, but
Hmm.
of course, come back and give us some more information. All right. Make
Absolutely.
sure my producer gets all your information and books you.
For sure. Thank you so much for
All
having me.
right. Social media, website.
Yeah, so my social media, it's my name. So I am Lorraine Millington is on Instagram, it's on TikTok, it's on LinkedIn. Well, my name, Lorraine Millington, on LinkedIn and Facebook. I also have my YouTube channel. And then I also have a book if anyone is interested in hearing more information about some of the topics that we shared about. I think it's a really good
Yeah.
resource to kind of get that
Ah, look
that
at
ball
that.
rolling.
There you go. The Money Lab. I like it.
Yes,
Sold.
yes.
Put a stamp on that too. Bam. All right. All
I
right.
love it.
Great.
Thank you again.
Lorraine, thank you too. All right. Keep in touch with us.
Absolutely. Thanks
Okay.
so much.